by the way.
Thanks for tuning into the 6-3 podcast. I'm your host, Joel, with my co-host, Ben. And we are doing the linebackers today and then finishing out our 2023 position rankings next week with the DBs.
Yeah.
Which is convenient because this will be the second to last week on Zoom as well.
Yeah.
I will be, my subscription is ending.
Yeah.
And next week will be the last one that's still paid for before it expires.
Perfect.
So,
Worked out.
it'll be, well, maybe try Google Meets. We'll figure things out.
Yeah. Or Teams or something. We can find something that works, right?
Yeah. Or maybe I'll fly up to Grand Rapids on every,
Fly, yes. I have a helicopter out back.
right out of Kalamazoo Airport, right to Grand Rapids.
Yeah. I'm sure they have flights.
Right? lots. So yeah, linebackers this week, and just with some position updates, I want to give some transactional details of some things that have happened in the league since we last visited. Tim Patrick ruptured his Achilles, so he will miss his second straight season.
Yep.
Zach Moss for the Colts suffered a broken arm and will miss about 6 weeks with the Jonathan Taylor thing up in the air for the Colts. Zach Moss is like their leading snaps guy during training camp. That's a big loss. Panthers signed Deion Jones, who you'll hear his name tonight. Cowboys are suspending Ronald Jones for violating PED policy. And then some free agent visits like Shelby Harris with the Browns, Dalton Reisner with the Vikings. Jonathan Taylor obviously requesting a trade, and Irsay says no. Patriots hosted Zeke Elliott. Dolphins signed Eli Apple. Steelers signed Quan Alexander, who you'll also hear tonight. Sony Michel retires, like only a month after going to the Rams.
He was like, all right, never mind.
Yeah, he found out he had to play with, Matt Stafford's broken body parts and an offensive line that can't block, and he's like, just never mind.
It's not worth it. I'm not trying to die.
Eddie Goldman for the Falcons is placed on exempt left squad list. Aaron Rodgers takes a $35 million pay cut to help the Jets. Officially, Bryce Young has now been officially named starting QB for the Panthers. Like, that was a surprise. John Ross retires.
It was quick.
Commanders signed Byron Pringle. Ravens release Andy Isabella, but then gets signed by the Bills. I think that's Jimmy Graham with a reunion with the Saints.
Yep.
I didn't think he was still alive, honestly.
No, I hadn't heard his name in a while.
Yeah, and the next big one is next week we'll hear Raiders signing Marcus Peters. So
okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Number one linebacker group in your opinion, Ben. Who you got?
I think they were probably my number one last year as well, but we're gonna go with the 49ers.
Sure were.
I think it's mostly clear cut. I mean, there's some other teams that maybe had a chance, but with Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Oren Burks, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, Curtis Robinson, and D Winters. D Winters is actually kind of a sneaky little pick there. I think he could have a good NFL career. Two legitimate stars, and they're good at everything. Awesome coverage. Linebackers great in run blocking too. So, Oren Burks is also sneaky good. So, a lot of depth there and 2 stars. So you can't go wrong.
Would argue that Fred Warner's might be the best running linebacker in the league right now.
Yep.
And then you get like Dre Greenlaw, who I think is probably top 10 linebacker in the league right now.
You have 2 top 10 linebackers. I mean, come on.
Yeah, makes the case pretty easy there. That's my one as well. My number 2 is I'm kind of going back. My 2 and 3 are pretty close in my opinion. So, it's tough. If I put those side by side, I'm like, who do I want more? Maybe actually do give me the Bears.
Yeah, I think they're just a little deeper. Just a little.
I had the Bears initially at 3, but I'm like looking at it side by side, and I think I would take. So getting signed. They went big in free agency on linebackers because they came up short on getting offensive line. They had a ton of money to spend, and they knew it had to help linebacker or offensive line. Getting TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds was a massive get. Obviously, Jack Sanborn already there. A lot of us were already very high on Jack Sanborn, even though I think he went late or undrafted. And I'm
I
like,
think
dude,
he
I
was
remember
sixth,
watching.
seventh round. He might have been undrafted. I remember the first preseason game I was watching them play, and I'm like, this dude is making every tackle.
We
I'm
watched
like,
him in Big
wow.
Ten football too. He's solid.
Huh?
He's a solid linebacker.
Yep.
They got Dylan Cole. They picked up Panay's brother Noah Sewell.
Mhm.
They've had Kwoni Dang now for the past couple of years, kind of as a practice squad guy, but out of UCLA there, or he was out of Cal. And then Sterling Weatherford as their remaining linebacker. But yeah, like I said, those two dudes that they got out of free agency have made massive impacts and are proven linebackers in this league. So
Yeah.
they definitely gave them the bag, but it should greatly impact their defense.
Yep. I'll go with the Ravens here. At number 3.
That was my
Patrick.
number two. That was my number two original. So
Yeah, Patrick Queen's a star. I think we were all pretty high on him when he came out. Roquan Smith, obviously there now, which is a big get. Tyus Bowser, Malik Harrison, Trenton Simmons, Tavius Robinson, and Josh Ross. A little home cooking there, but getting coached by a Harbaugh, why not? Um, you know, Roquan Smith made a massive impact on the Ravens last year, about midway through the year when they got him. And I really do think pairing him with Patrick Queen makes, I mean, you could argue that's up there with some of the top 2 pairings. I mean, that's up there with the 49ers pairing, honestly. I just think the 49ers are a little deeper. And
that's what I was saying. If for sure, they're for sure first place. If the Bears are due, if they even hold on to Roquan Smith. You
oh,
have
100%.
Roquan Smith, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine
That
Edmonds.
wouldn't even
That's
be
number
fair.
one.
That wouldn't even be fair.
No, where do you have the money for that? That you can't
Yeah,
pay anyone else.
you can't even pay that. I don't think so. But overall, I mean, it's an incredible group. Easily top 5. Had an argument for 2 as well. So yep.
Yeah, you'd have to put for the Bears would have to run like Reed Sinnett out there to play
Yes.
quarterback. You have to pay veteran minimum. Reed
Yes.
Sinnett. There's
Yeah.
nobody else. Alex McGuff,
Yes. You have
maybe
some
David Blau. Yeah.
Easton Stick. Stick. He's pretty good.
That's funny. So yeah, my top 3 rounded out here. My number 4 is now the Carolina Panthers after their big free agent get of Deion Jones. Had them initially a week ago, I had them at 9, but I think the Deion Jones get moves them up to 4, in my opinion, with Shaq Thompson, who's a top 10 linebacker in this league. Frankie Louvu is super underrated. Every time I've watched Panthers play, he's been stellar. Deion Jones is a proven, sturdy, solid linebacker with years with the Falcons. And I remember Camo Grugier Hill with the Eagles for several years.
Yep.
He's now with the Panthers, so I think they're loaded. One of my favorite linebacker names in this whole group is Bumper Pool. And he's kind of there sitting at the back end of their linebacker group.
Yep. I'm gonna go with the Saints here. Pete Werner, I think, is underrated, although he had an incredible rookie year. Demario Davis is a star. Zach Bond, I think, is really solid. Ty Summers, DeMarco Jackson, Andrew Dowell, and then Ryan Connolly. I really like Demario Davis. Pete Werner's really good run defense, like top end. And yeah, I mean, they built that entire defense around Demario Davis. So he's pretty much a monster, right? He's one of the better linebackers. Definitely, I think he's top 5 linebacker in the league right now. So I definitely think they deserve to be in the top 5 there.
All right. I'm going to take the Seahawks next. And Bobby Wagner reuniting again with them. He's basically probably in his last year of shelf life.
There's
Till his
no way
batteries finally
going,
die.
right? There's no chance he keeps going, right?
At some point, this dies, but
Like 100 years old.
with adding the speed of Devin Bush Jr. is nice. Jordan Brooks, I remember the day he was drafted. He was in the Ashawn Robinson draft class, I believe. And he was drafted in like the first round. And I remember being like, what? That's such a reach. I thought Jordan Brooks was like a 3rd round pick. And the Seahawks historically reach on players. I remember Rashad Penny is another example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember them drafting Jordan Brooks. And a lot of people got him as like a 3rd round grade. And I was like, wow. And Jordan Brooks has become one of the more reliable linebackers in this league now. You get Bobby Wagner back there, Devin Bush Jr., John Radigan has years of experience, Vi Jones out of USC, I believe, transferred from NC State, and then Patrick O'Connell and Cam Bright on the back end. I just like those first three guys and a little bit of veteranship in the middle there. So,
Yep. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I think Nick Bolton is a monster. Obviously they still have Willie Gay, who I think underrated at times. He misses some tackles and overruns some plays at times, but I still think he's super athletic, and I was super high on him out of Ole Miss when he came out. Leo Chenal out of Wisconsin, I think, is really good. Drew Tranquil out of Notre Dame, also good. Jack Conkrin and Cole Christensen rounded them out. I really think overall, really good group. It's kind of top heavy, but I think the top three, even four, I would say, um, are going to be really good. And I think Leo Chenal could be one of the kind of the sneaky picks. The Chiefs have just drafted really well. I know they've been super late in the draft, or maybe not even having first round picks lately, but they've just drafted really well. They've gotten production out of their late first round picks, or even second and third round picks. So, and Chenal is just another example. So,
yeah, again, better than that Big Ten football that we watched play a lot. And it's like, oh, he's going to be a good linebacker.
yeah.
So it was interesting that he fell that far. But
Yep.
I think I'm gonna take them a little earlier than I had them listed initially, but I'm looking at their other spots that I have before them, and I think I just like those first two guys so much more, and it's gonna be the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
With Devin White, Levante David, some of the
Yeah.
two of the best in the game right now. Having KJ Britt and Servatia Dennis isn't a bad depth piece. Ulysses Gilbert has a couple years under his belt. Hamilcar Rashed and JJ Russell as well, but those two guys really pull them significantly higher, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think that's the Bucks' best position by significant.
So. Yeah, I mean they've got two of the top guys there. I mean, I get Devin White is one of the faster and more athletic guys. And Levante David's, I think Levante David's even better than Devin White, honestly. So, hmm. I'll go with the Colts here.
That was my next one. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's, I'll definitely go with them. I think overall really good group. I think it's deep, but Zaire Franklin, Shaq Leonard is, could when healthy is a monster. EJ Speed, Jojo Doman out of Nebraska is kind of a sneaky pick there. Grant Stewart, Cam McGrone, some more home crook in there. See if he ever finds footing in the league. And then Segun Olubi is the guy that rounds out the group. I think it's a pretty athletic group. I think it could be one of their better position groups too, honestly. I'm high on the Colts overall.
Running back, we ranked at 8, so here they go at 9. So
Jonathan Taylor. Well, but that's with Jonathan Taylor, and
yeah, we'll see what happens
on there.
That does change our rankings a little bit.
Yeah, they would move way down. Like, I'm sorry, like
they're already one of the worst teams in our rankings overall points wise. They lose that spot. That's a huge drop. Like you're probably going from 8 to 24.
If you maybe lower.
Maybe lower. Especially now with Zach Moss.
Yeah, I mean he can't play too, because that factors in. I don't know. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. Maybe did Jonathan Taylor just see like Anthony Richardson throw the ball for a few practices and never mind. I'm not doing that.
It's gonna take all your money.
Yeah. Give me all your money or I'm leaving.
Yeah. Sheesh. AR-15, not as much as they cracked up to be. I didn't like him much, but see, who did I have here for the Colts? You take the Bengals. You're next.
Yep.
With Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, Akeem Davis Gaither, Joe Bacci. He's getting better, and I hate to say that about any Michigan State player. Like he was borderline practice squad guy when he got signed undrafted by the Vikings, and has now been in the league for 4 years.
Still racist, though. Is he still racist?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Oh,
know. He might be. He might still be a racist.
Marcus Bailey. I liked him on a. He went to Purdue, I think.
Purdue, yeah, he was a big dude, but yeah, he's been to Purdue.
I liked his game too. Shaka Hayward there and Keandre Jones rounding it out. Obviously Jermaine Pratt. I thought he was gonna be off the team or something after
Yeah.
he was screaming at Joseph Osai at the
Yep,
end
he
of that
was.
game. So but yeah, no, he stuck around apparently and even got some money out of it. So here they go at 10.
Um, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Um, hmm, I don't want to put them that high. Hmm. I'm gonna go with I guess I'll go. I don't know, I could go like two or three different teams here. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Dolphins actually here. David Long Jr., Jerome Baker. I think David Long Jr. is underrated. Jerome Baker is super athletic and he's been productive. Um, Duke Riley, Shannon Tyndall, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Cameron Good. I had them at like 12, and I'm gonna put them up here a little bit higher. I like David Long a lot, so I'm gonna give them some
Are you
credit.
sure it's the right David Long?
Yeah, it's David.
I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
it's not the Ram David Long, the Titan David Long. The Ram David Long is good too. I mean, I
Is
like
he
him.
still with the Rams? I'm gonna check.
He might not be anymore.
I don't think he is, but Vincent Gray is on the Rams now.
Yes,
I'm trying to think. I feel like David. Where did David Long go? I want to
he's with
find
the
out.
C. He's with the
Raiders.
the
Yeah,
Raiders.
yeah, he's on the Raiders.
Yeah,
Raiders have a meh secondary. We'll find out next week.
yeah. He
Yeah,
probably
not
helps.
bad. Um, I had them in three spots for me here, but it's not bad. Um, my next one here is the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Josie Jewell, Baron Browning, all very good. Alex Singleton has been a solid linebacker in the league. Jonas Griffith is a monster. And then drafting Drew Sanders out of Arkansas, I
Yep.
think really helps. Justin Sternad has spent several years with the Broncos as well. And then Ray Wilborn, probably a practice squad guy. But, getting Drew Sanders, obviously we can't put too much weight on rookie linebackers here, but Josie Jewell and Baron Browning are already proven linebackers. Singleton's been good before. He's just been kind of down lately. Griffith, I think, is just a big dude in the middle. It kind of reminds me of another Jonas. Remember Jonas Mouton? Just
Jonas. Yes.
yeah, big dude. Drew Sanders, I thought was easily a top three for I think it was unanimously a top three linebacker in this class. So
Yep.
um yeah, I like them there.
Okay. Yep. Mm, Um, give me the Bills. Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, Tyrell Dodson, AJ Klein, Traven Howard, and Tyler Matkovich. I think Matt Milano is just a playmaker. He's super underrated. I don't think when people think top linebackers, I don't necessarily think Matt Milano, but I think he's really good out of Boston College. Um, Terrell Bernard is a really good player. Dorian Williams, I think, has a chance to kind of make a big jump this year. And I don't know. Overall, I think it's just a deep group. I don't think it's like beyond Milano. I don't think it's like a um, necessarily just a star-studded group. When they had Tremaine Edmonds there with Milano, I think it kind of elevated them even higher. But I could totally see Tremaine Edmonds. I think has overall been sort of disappointing at times,
Mhm.
although he's super athletic. And I think Dorian Williams could match him at one
I
point.
love Norian when he was out of Tulane. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was one of my favorite sleeper linebackers. If we could have
yeah.
gotten him in the fifth
Yeah,
round,
I wouldn't have been mad if the Lions like waited a little longer to go for linebacker and gotten him instead of Campbell. I'm happy with Campbell, but
yeah, it's a good pick. I had them at 16 and they went at 13. That's fine. Um, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars here at
Okay.
14 with Foye Oluokun, um, Devin Lloyd out of Utah, Chad Muma out of Wyoming, Ventrell Miller, and then Shaq Quarterman, Caleb Johnson, and Yasir Abdullah. I even like the depth there all the way down to Caleb Johnson. You know, Yasir Abdullah may not even make the team, but Quarterman and Johnson, Ventrell Miller have all been good players. I really liked Muma last year a lot. I think Lloyd was 2 years ago, so also very young. And then Foye Oluokun.
I really wanted the Lions to take Devin Lloyd.
I know.
They
I remember
traded
that.
up for Jameson Williams. I was hoping they were trading up for Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, me too. Well, yeah, I mean, it still might work out. We'll find out with that one. But
Yep.
but yeah, Oluokun has been with the Falcons for several years and just one of the better linebackers there when Deion Jones was there. So I like that pickup. And I think that again, the Jaguars are poised, even on paper, they look well rounded almost all over the place. Outside offensive line still needs a lot of work, but
Be
I
a
think
pretty
they've
good
got a
team.
good roster.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good team. It's not being coached by Urban Meyer, so they should be pretty good.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna go with the Browns. Injuries destroyed this team last year at linebacker. They didn't. I don't think they had a player. I think I saw a stat. They didn't have a player who's played in more than 12 games. Um, but I think there's a lot of talent there. So they got JOK, Anthony Walker, Sione Taki, Jacob Phillips, Tony Fields, and Matthew Adams. I think the top three are really solid. Anthony Walker out of Northwestern was really good, a star in college. He's put around, he's carved out a good role for himself in the league. Taki's super talented, and then Osu Koromora is definitely the most talented guy there. He's just got to stay healthy. He only played like 540
I
snaps
mean,
or
his
something
big
like
reason
that.
he slipped in the draft too
Yes,
was people were concerned
no,
about physical. Yeah.
I know. So, um, hopefully he can stay healthy, and hopefully all of them can stay healthy, and then they'll kind of show that maybe they belong even a little bit higher, depending on as long as they can be on the field. So,
Browns, just like the Cowboys, in our rankings, typically always look good on paper, and then they're always like, eh.
so yeah, what happened there? Like, what
Because
are we
again,
doing?
the Browns are probably gonna finish top 10 in our rankings on
Yeah,
paper.
on paper they look great. I mean, running backs obviously absurd, and then quarterback. I mean, they
Well,
should have a really good
offensive
quarterback.
line, defensive line, we ranked them at 4 last week with like Miles Garrett leading that way,
Yeah,
and then offensive line's always been good the last several years with like Batonio. But yeah, tight end at 11, wide receiver is a little lower at 18, but
yeah.
yeah, they look good on paper once again.
Mhm.
Um, all right, let's see who I got next. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Packers here next. Devondre Campbell has been outstanding. And he's
Mhm.
already a very like remember when the Falcons were loaded with Oluokun and Deion Jones and the Devondre Campbell, and they were
Mhm.
consistently top 3 linebacker group in our rankings. Ty Campbell's seems to even be better now with the Packers. Getting Quay Walker out of Georgia. Eric Wilson was a nice free agent get.
Quay Walker is really good at getting kicked out of games. All right.
He is. He
He
is.
attacks
He's a
the
jerk
medical
face.
staff. He's a big
He is a
jerk,
jerk.
jerk face. So
Eric Wilson, I mean, remember him from I think he was with the Vikings for several years. Um, now with the Packers, and then Isaiah McDuffie, very athletic linebacker. Treat Carpenter and Jonathan Garvin is also helps out mostly in the edge, but he is it's a pretty solid group of 6 dudes right there.
yeah, it's pretty good.
I ranked them at 14 here, then go at 16. So
I think it's a pretty deep group overall, I'd say. Um, so was it 17?
yeah,
Give me the Cowboys here at 17. I think they're probably about right. Um,
I'm at 18, so yeah, that's about right.
yeah, Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, Leighton Vander Esch, I think is like hyped up a little bit to me. He's like a worse, I don't know, a worse Matt Milano.
Keekly, I was gonna say he's like a very
Yeah,
bad
he's like Luke
Keekly.
Kuechly, except not nearly as good, not even
Yeah,
close. He makes some plays, right? But he also is
he's
just
like
like,
the wish version of.
yeah, like what are we doing there? Walmart, Luke Kuechly. Um,
Well, wish because he's going to take 3 months to ship from China. So
true,
yeah, like,
true. He shows up every once in a while, like 3 times a year where it's like, that was a monster game from
You
Billy
might get your
Zappa.
money. You might get your money's worth. You might get your money back on.
You might if you're lucky. Damone Clark is good. Jabril Cox, I really like Jabril Cox coming out of the draft. I was kind of hoping the Lions would find a way to get him at some point. DeMarvion Overshone, Malik Jefferson, and Devin Harper. I think there's some definitely some talent, athleticism in that group. Jabril Cox, especially, is one of the fastest linebackers you'll see out there. And if we're being honest, I mean, we can. I know Micah Parsons obviously was talked about before, but he's kind of a linebacker as well.
I mean, he's the reason that they got ranked 6th on D line, so
Yeah,
that helps
he's
him a
an
little bit.
absolute monster. Like we can't, but you could consider him. He plays both positions for the most part.
Mhm.
But I would probably put him on the D line the way they used him more last year. But he stands up a ton and plays in coverage and runs around back there. So I think really he's the centerpiece of their defense. But it's not a terrible linebacker group at all. You could make a case for them anywhere between 13 to 21 probably.
Well, I think you
So
can make the kid. I mean, it's just a depend. I mean, the D line goes down to the mid-teens if
without Micah
without him, and
Parsons.
then the linebacker moves up to like top 8 if
Yeah.
he's on
Oh
there.
yeah.
So
He's there. He's probably the best defensive player in the NFL, in my opinion. I think he is.
yeah, right now it's no longer Aaron Donald.
No, I think Mike Parsons it. He's just more versatile. Darren Donald's pretty good though. He's good.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough call at this point. It used to
Yeah.
not be a tough call. It used to be just Donald and then everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. It's true.
Let's see. So that was 17, 18 is what I'm looking for. I'm gonna go with the Jets. Quincy Williams and CJ Mosley. CJ Mosley is somehow still good. He's going to turn into Bobby Wagner, I think. At some point, he's going to have to stop. But Quincy Williams is a reliable linebacker. They moved Jamie and Sherwood. I think he was a safety coming out of college. He's been moved to linebacker and it's worked out for him. Zaire Barnes, Chaz Surratt, also probably your emergency quarterback.
And say he was a QB for a little bit at North Carolina.
Yeah, right after Trubisky left. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Hamza Nasiruddin and Malik Hall, all there. And I actually like Nasiruddin as to be like their 6th linebacker. I feel like that's impressive. And I still think Surratt can be good. So I like their group of linebackers a lot. And obviously, it's still banking on CJ Mosley not officially dying of old age on the field this time.
Right. What number is this now?
So this would be 19.
I'll go with the Patriots here, actually.
Yeah.
I just think they're solid. Juwan Bentley and Jelani Tavai obviously are the top guys there.
I saw Tavai taking snaps at fullback.
That, I mean, it wouldn't put it past Belichick to do
Why not
something.
put a Samoan at fullback? Sione
Yeah, why
Huma.
not? It's gonna
Remember
work.
Sione Huma? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a monster.
Yeah.
Roquan McMillan, I think, still has. I think he could be a solid guy in the league. Chris Board, Marte Mapu, Mac Wilson, and Calvin Munson. They're going to get production out of their linebackers. It's a Belichick coach defense, but I do think the top 3, maybe even 4, are pretty solid. So
Really getting close to rounding out my group now. I think off by 1 because I'm taking my 19 here at 20. But I'm going to take the Steelers here now, especially after the pickup of Quan Alexander. They moved up a lot for me.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I think they moved up like 5 spots for Quan. But Cole Holcomb, I really like him already. And after a couple years with the Redskins, Commanders, and then Quan Alexander pickup is big. Landon Roberts has been in the league for a long time, so a lot of veteranship there. Tanner Muse is from the Seahawks. Then Nick Kwiatkowski from the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then Mark Robinson and Chappelle Russell. Probably practice squad guys or special teamers. So, but yeah, I really like those, especially those first 5 guys. It's a good group of dudes.
I'll go with the Lions at 21. Obviously, we talk at length that this might be the weakness of the team or the defense. But Anzalone is just, I mean, he is what he is, right? He's not not a star, but he does what he needs to do. He's the leader on defense. Malcolm Rodriguez, definitely a guy that blew away any kind of expectations last year. Derek Barnes as your 3rd, maybe 4th linebacker now. You take that, Julian Aquara and Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Reeves-Maybin is a playmaker. Like I do like Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I'm happy he's still on the team. I just don't know where he fits in there at all. And then
Special
Jack
teams now. If Josh Woods is gone, I feel like that's the spot.
True. That's very true. And then Jack Campbell obviously is the draft pick, and they're hoping he ends up being the star linebacker that they're missing. They do need a centerpiece in the middle there.
Mhm.
So we'll see if he can be that. That'd be awesome if he could.
Yeah, that's actually they went one spot lower than I am. I have a 20 on my list, but
Yeah.
they fell one spot lower. I figured they're probably in the 19 ceiling, 25 pit. So it's a good spot for them. My next tier is the Los Angeles Chargers, with Kenneth Murray and Eric Kendricks, who we know from the Vikings. Nick Neiman is solid linebacker. Dion Henley is he a rookie? He went to Washington or Washington State.
So.
I think he's okay. And then Amen Bamiga. Yeah. And then Tyreek Maddox Williams. Again, those really like Murray and Kendricks a lot. That's the anchor. Neiman is good enough, and Henley should be pretty solid too. So not a bad group. I don't feel like this is I wouldn't be mad if this was my linebacker. We're not to that point yet.
No. What number is this? 22?
23. 20.
I'll go with the Cardinals at 23.
That's my next. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, I think, a little beforehand, but maybe one of the more athletic groups in the NFL. It's just they aren't. I mean, are they really good linebackers? I don't know. They haven't been great yet. But Zaven Collins, I really liked Zaven Collins coming out of the draft. Isaiah Simmons, who's another draft darling. Kaiser White, super athletic. Josh Woods, we know who Josh Woods. Papo.
Owen Papo. I just tried to cut it in there. Owen Papo, yeah.
Chris Barnes, Dennis Gardick,
Victor Demukagi.
Yeah.
Out of Duke.
Yeah, I mean, those top three for sure, I wouldn't hate on my team. Kaiser White is proven as well. But they really just need Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons to kind of figure it out. Because they should be better than they are probably.
Yeah, we agree. I mean, athleticism sometimes does pan out. We talk about good players like Byron Jones, super athleticism, like broke records at the combine and stuff. He's been a great corner in the league. Mm-hmm. And then you get guys like John Ross, who just retired last week, one of the fastest players of all time. Yep. Done nothing.
Did literally nothing. I think he had 3 touchdowns in his career.
Or then you get Calvin Johnson. Perfect example of elite athleticism does work out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think getting all over athleticism isn't a bad thing. Valuing that, it's just whether or not they can actually be good football players, right? And, or in a guy like Simmons' case, what is he? He's a tweener kind of. He's an in between guy, so he's got to have the right defense in order to fit. I don't know.
I think when he was drafted, and even with the concerns of the Lions wanting to take him, I remember we talked on this podcast at length on it's going to take the right team that can learn how to use a guy that can play both safety and linebacker, or it's gonna have to be a team that hyper focuses on one position. And I think for a while there that they were teetering back and forth on let's play safety, let's play linebacker, and that may have broken them because Kingsbury is not qualified in that capacity to do it. So we'll see if a defensive minded coach now for the Cardinals weirdo.
Yeah, he's. And then I'm telling you, the press conference that got me was the one where he was just making stats up, where he was yeah, we led the league in sacks 7 weeks in, and then somebody fact checked him not one time did the Eagles lead the league in sacks last year. Not at any point did they ever lead the league in sacks last year. It's what are you talking about?
It's like when Joe Biden went up for his press conference for COVID-19. And it was we've lost 7.5 billion people, and I'm that leaves about 500 million people left on this earth.
Yeah, wow, where'd they all go?
How did I make it out of all of them?
My God, this is worse than the Black Death. This is crazy. What is he talking about? So, yeah,
I don't know. Family made it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how. I'm not very high on the Cardinals. This is actually maybe one of their higher spots. Actually, I don't think they're.
I think they're gonna probably finish last. So special teams was 5.
Yeah,
and then but that's probably the most minimalist position that matters.
Yep.
But tight end was 12.
Okay.
So
yeah,
not horrible there.
No, And then if Kyler is like any good at all, like maybe, but where do we have
And
him?
22 at QB.
Yeah. He's just very middle of the road. He can have moments, right? But he's pretty meh.
His ceiling at this point is probably 14.
Yeah.
So we just did 23 there. So I'm gonna find 24 here. Um, so now I think all my 23 is out because I have the Browns at 23, and that was the biggest gap of all so far. But that's near nor there. But now we do have my 23, so I can officially pick my 24. And that is the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
With Jamin Davis, who I really liked. Cody Barton spent some solid years with the Seahawks. Dude looks like he was literally just come out of the Marines. Just a
Yes.
jack big man with a bald head. That's looks like a Marine when you look him up. David
Yep.
Mayo, been in the league for a long time. He's reliable. Obviously, some homer here with Khaleke Hudson. Viper position doesn't do so much in the NFL anymore, but
He's a great special teams
he's
guy.
he's figured out how to be a solid outside linebacker even in the league after that. So then they have Milo Eifler and Dejon Harris rounding out the linebacker group. And I think this is where I think right here is where it's like, okay, now I'm not super thrilled about my linebacker group. I think this is where it dropped a tier between the Cardinals and then the Commanders. It's like I'm not stoked that this would be my linebacker room at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. There's still some good linebackers out there, but there's not a
Not deep linebackers, even a good two. Like there's maybe one good linebacker, but then it's a drop off of
yep.
dudes.
I'll go
So
I'm gonna go with the Giants here. Bobby Okereke, uh Jared Davis.
I was gonna say it's Bobby Okereke and then oof.
Micah McFadden, I do like, and then Darian Beavers, we'll see. Jury's still out of Cincinnati, and then Carter Coughlin and Cam Brown. I do like Micah McFadden out of Indiana, but yeah, Jared Davis. Oh man, we've
Right
seen
now
him
though, the fact that he's looking at like being their number two, oof.
number 2 or 3, depending on McFadden. Like Jared Davis is he if he's your number like 5. Dan Campbell loved Jared Davis because he like knew what he was doing. That was the problem
A
last year.
motor, dude. Jared Davis could have been a white linebacker for all the times we heard about he had a motor.
Yes. Well, remember there all those interviews in Hard Knocks. It's like Jared Davis. He's got a motor, man, and he just keeps going. He just keeps talking about it. I'm like, yeah, but
I just remember Hard Knocks where he like also took his shirt off and he was like,
yeah. And then he's just not good. He's not
I
good.
love his energy though. He loves the game. He likes
He
being there.
does. And Dan Campbell loved him and he liked playing him early because it was like, oh, this is the only guy that actually knows what he's
He's a
doing.
Dan Campbell guy, and he's athletic. We talk about athleticism. He's a guy whose athleticism just hasn't worked
I think
out.
the problem the Lions fans have with him is they just drafted him way too high. So
Yeah, I had him as an early mid-second rounder when they drafted him, and I think he was drafted late. I think 18 or 19 or 20 or something he was taken. So, oh yeah, who was my next one here? All right, I liked it. I actually do like this linebacker group. I could have probably put them ahead of the Commanders, so I'm thinking about it, but too little, too late. 26. I'm going to take the Houston Texans.
Perriman, yeah.
Denzel and Corey Littleton, been a good
Mhm.
linebacker in the league. Christian Kirksey, he's old, but he's solid. Christian Harris out of Alabama.
Yep.
Blake Cashman has played some years with the Packers as kind of like their 4th or 5th linebacker. And obviously, I thought Henry Toyota,
Yeah.
Toyota,
Out of Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah. I thought a lot of people had him like as a 2nd or 1st round pick early in the draft process.
Oh, definitely early in the college football season. I think some people had him as the number 1 linebacker. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think he was that good.
He's Jelani Tavai though. He's Jelani Tavai
That's
with the Samoan name.
yeah.
So, and then Jake Hansen's probably going to get cut or practice squad, but that's actually pretty solid with Perriman, Littleton, Kirksey, and Harris. I like that group actually. It's not bad.
Not terrible. I'll go with the Vikings here. Jordan Hicks, I think, is actually pretty solid. He and Eric Kendricks last year were good overall, but Kendricks is gone, so this is why they're ranked much lower. Brian Asamoah is all right. Troy Dye, Troy Reader, Ivan Pace Jr., and then William Quinn Q. Quinn Q. Yeah. Um, really, it's Hicks and some dudes, some guys after that. So that's why they're at 27.
Well, we talked about David Long. Teams missing David Long right now is the Tennessee Titans. They still get Monty Rice, and they picked up Aziz Al-Shaair from the 49ers, who really helped the 49ers last year. Luke Gifford coming from the Cowboys. Ben Neiman, Nick Neiman's brother, is here. Sometimes I get those mixed up. I'm like, I know what one's better. I would rather have Nick Neiman, but
Ben
Ben's fine.
Neiman, Ben Neiman played at Iowa, I think, right?
I think so.
So,
And then Chance Campbell, Jack Gibbons may not even make that roster. It's really terrible there at that back end. But those first four guys aren't bad. Al-Shaair, I think he flourished in the 49ers defense because it was already very good. So he stood out whenever plays were made. But Monty Rice has been a reliable linebacker in the league for a couple of years now.
yeah, I would agree. I think Al-Shaair's all right. I mean, I don't think he's terrible. I think, like you said, though, like his faults were hidden by how good everybody else was around him in that defense. So,
well, I think like let's do it this way. If Al-Shaair was with the 49ers and they had Greenlaw and Fred Warner still, like Shaair was the third linebacker for the team last year.
yeah.
But if they still have those three guys, and then like we talked about the Bears having Edwards, Edmonds, and then Roquan, I'm like, I think I'd take the 49ers again, though, getting Al-Shaair back.
I still think I would, yeah.
Yeah, bottom four, here we are.
Both the Falcons, I guess. I'm gonna put them here. Caden Ellis, I do think actually has a good chance to be pretty good. Troy Anderson, Michael Walker, Nate Landman, Tay Davis, and Dorian Etheridge. Not great. Michael Walker's okay, and then I think Caden Ellis was good. He was actually pretty darn good last year for the Saints. So I mean they have that to build around, but after that, Troy Anderson, he's a second rounder, so we'll see. But he's going to be kind of thrust into it pretty quickly. So
see, at Montana State, he went like this.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So we'll see.
I mean, we see a lot of posts of some stellar wide receiver catches in this training camps so far. I've seen some stellar performances by Troy Anderson out of any linebacker. I'm seeing way more from Troy Anderson. I've seen him deflect passes covering Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. So he's doing really good on these one-on-ones with some pretty top end talent offensive players for the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll see if that continues. All right. Well, third to last, because they aren't even worth saying that they're 30th. Third to last, the Philadelphia Eagles in this position.
It's bad because I love their D line.
It's basically the opposite situation of the Bears. Bears have a horrible D line but good linebackers.
Yep. So this might make their D line or their linebackers look a lot better. Their D line.
This is also why I don't like bunching it into ranking front sevens.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just you see the disparity in what makes this team. Same with the Bears. Who drag them down. So keep it getting Nick Morrow. That's fine. He spent some solid years with the Raiders, but then Nakobe Dean's gonna really have to step up this year, and we just don't know what we're getting out of him yet. Sean Bradley, Christian Ellis is definitely not Caden Ellis. Former Michigan and Michigan State player Ben Sumarin is over there, and they have Davion Taylor. So not a fun group to look at on paper, gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's not a great look.
Wait till these last two.
I don't know what to go last. I guess I'll go with the Raiders. Last though. I mean, when your likely starters are Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane, you got problems there. Divine Diablo has a sweet name, really cool name. But I saw a stat on PFF. I think it was Divine Diablo finished 2022 with a 51 coverage grade and did not force a single incompletion. It's
which
not
is
good.
crazy because he converted from safety. I think he went to Virginia Tech and he played safety at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, not
That's
good.
not
And
good.
Spillane had a 39.5 coverage grade, which was bottom 10 at the position. And the Raiders were even last year bottom 3 ranked group in the entire NFL. So this isn't surprising. So
Well, I still think that's the correct pick because honestly, this 32nd and final team, the Los Angeles Rams, are so much 32nd that I think injured Matthew Stafford plugged in at linebacker would slightly improve them and still leave them at 32nd. They're just terrible. It's not good. It's Ernest Jones, Christian Rosaboom, DeAndre Square, Jake Hummel, Daniel Hardy, Nick Hampton. Now, you be honest with me and tell me how many of those guys. I love football. I know players, and I know Rosaboom. I know Ernest Jones.
Ernest
And
Jones
like
and Rosen.
I remember DeAndre Square from college, but like that's it. Like talent wise, NFL success wise, almost none.
So I think it's just Jones, and then Roseboom had only like 12 or 10 snaps last year, and that no one else took any meaningful defensive snaps in there. Like that's and Jones, like I would say Jones would be a solid number 3 on a lot of teams.
Yeah,
But
Rosaboom's a special teams linebacker on every other team. It's a
John
bad
Jones
situation.
and Aaron Donald, I'm pretty sure that defense is going to be so bad.
It's well, where do I? So next week I also have secondary is very bad too. And if it wasn't for Aaron Donald, their D line would be last.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He props them way up.
We put them at 26, and I still felt like that was
that's pushing it, and they'll probably outperform it a little bit. Because remember, years ago, those 2 or 3 years ago, we were like, man, I don't like any of these dudes other than Aaron Donald, but they all have good stats, and it's because of Aaron Donald. Because you have to put 3 people blocking him.
I don't even think he's fixing his defense this year, though, because we already saw a little bit of decline in Donald last year.
Yeah, he's getting old. You say he thought about retiring 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I thought he would, but
I did too. So that team is going to be bad. That's not going to be a good team.
Well, that leads me to checking out where they rank now. Obviously, I still currently have my secondary rankings plugged in for next week because I haven't.
I mean, written them in. They're not going to be good there either.
Yeah, well, so I'm ranking all of them here now. 49ers are significantly first, and in fact, I don't think there's any way that they lose first place because this is with me having their secondary ranked 12 next week.
49ers?
Yeah, 49ers secondary at 12. Yeah. And the team behind them is the Eagles, and I have the Eagles secondary ranked at 4, and the Eagles are still 13 points behind them. So the 49ers, far and away, are destroying every team. The concern is their quarterback situation. Whether or not Brock Purdy is even the real deal. Sam Darnold's not the real deal. I don't think it's going to work. And then Trey Lance so far looking like a bust.
Yeah.
If they so that's why I want to pick the 49ers to go far again. But I honestly they'll make the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
But I think maybe they win one playoff game and I think they're done.
Because they don't have the quarterback play. The quarterback play takes you past that. That's what.
Yes.
And they did it a few years ago with Jimmy G. But even if they had Jimmy G, I would pick them to go to the Super Bowl.
Jimmy G is better, more reliable than the guys.
What I'm saying, if they had Jimmy G as their starter, who was in very meh, I would pick them to go to the Super Bowl this year.
It's like Jimmy G would. I mean, Colin Kaepernick took them to the Super Bowl, right? So it's like,
yeah. I would pick them to go to the Super Bowl this year with mediocre quarterback play. With Jimmy G, with like middle of the line, like top 20 quarterback, like 20th quarterback.
If they had Kyler Murray, I would take.
Oh yeah, they'd be going to the Super Bowl.
They might win. Honestly,
they would probably win the Super Bowl. Imagine Kyler Murray in that.
It might be like 13-6, but they would win.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't be scoring.
It would be what's the most boring Super Bowl? It's either the Panthers Broncos or it's the Rams Patriots.
The Rams Patriots one was pretty stupid. was pretty
I still
lame.
remember the Cam Newton Panthers and Peyton Manning Broncos Super Bowl. That was horrible.
That was stupid. What was the one where the snap went over Manning's head at the beginning? Was that one?
I think it was that
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
out of the end
that was
zone. I
another
mean,
low scoring game though, because
yeah,
I
what are
remember
we
they had
doing? We're
Broncos had a
safety.
stacked defense. They had like Von Miller and Chris Harris and Aqib Talib.
Yep. And yeah, Cam Newton, they went 15-2 that year, 15-1, or no, they were 15-1, still 16 at that point.
Based on everything here, who do you think are the bottom 5 teams? Let's take a guess at those bottom 5.
Rams,
Rams are fourth to last. Barely.
uh,
They're almost third to last.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay is third to last. They're 1 point worse than the Rams.
Yeah. Um, think about this. The Colts.
Colts are fifth to last. So there you've got 3, 4, and 5. Now you just need the worst and the second worst.
Worst teams in the NFL. So I'm trying to think.
And the worst is by 11 points to the second to worst.
The Raiders?
Raiders
No,
are actually not that bad. The Raiders are pretty much dead middle.
Yeah, that makes sense. They'll still underperform, but that makes sense.
They will. They'll underperform.
Oh man, just think about some punching bag teams here.
Let me see. So if it helps you, we rank
The
their
Texans. The Texans.
Texans are second to worst. Yep.
Yeah.
So you still need the worst.
The worst team in the NFL. No.
We ranked their coach at 32, by the way. I know that might help.
Oh, the Cardinals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cardinals are last by a good chunk.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, their quarterback might have been one of their better positions.
Yeah, 22 at quarterback and 12
him
at tight end.
Yeah, 12 at tight end. We have him, and their special teams is good, like we said.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
We had them dead last in coaching, and
they're dead last in D line last week.
Yeah.
Running back is 31.
Where's receivers?
29.
Yeah.
Losing Hopkins. Yeah, that was we made sure we did it after Hopkins. So
and coaching dead last. They got a weirdo coaching. Yeah, I don't know about
offensive line is 30.
Yeah, there's no way they're good. There's no way they're gonna be any good.
DBs, I have DBs ranked at 30 next week, but that's another reason it's down a bit.
Yeah,
but
I mean, who knows? Maybe these the weirdo coaches. Maybe that's like Sirianni worked out. I guess somehow he's also. I mean, he's just driving a Lamborghini. He was just handing.
What is in the Philadelphia's drinking water? The weirdos are in Philly.
I don't know, but I'm telling you, they were just handed. Sirianni was handed the keys to a Lamborghini.
How weird is Steichen? That's another question.
Steichen seems kind of weird too. It's kind of weird.
He's not Gannon weird, but he's weird.
No, but I think they're all weird. So
I think the top 5, if you can name the top 5, how good do you think it gets?
The 49ers.
Yep.
The Ravens.
They're third. Ravens are third.
Who did we say was second? We just said it. It was the 49ers, Ravens. Think about this.
Dude, top 6 just because 5 and 6 are tied.
Are they tied? Okay.
Yeah.
No, not them. 49ers, Ravens, Bills.
Bills are tied with 5 and 6. Yeah.
Okay. The Chiefs, obviously.
Yep, they're tied with the Bills right now at 5 and 6.
The Bengals.
Bengals are right above the Chiefs and Bills.
Okay. And
right behind the Ravens. So right now you just need 2.
I just need 2.
Yeah.
Why am I missing at 2? Is it the Seahawks? That makes no sense. It's not the Seahawks.
Seahawks are 7. Seahawks are 7.
Nuts that they're 7th. That is absurd.
But they look good on paper.
idiocy that they're there.
Their D line is their worst at 29.
I know, but like, what are we doing there? Like, um,
You're missing a
you're,
really obvious one. It's
I know I'm missing an obvious one.
like Super Bowl obvious.
I don't know. What am I missing? Super Bowl obvious. What are you talking about?
Who was the Super Bowl last year?
I feel like I've named everybody.
No, you said 49ers, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals.
49ers, Ravens,
Yeah. You not
Chiefs.
say number two, but you know. No, you know.
Maybe not. It's number two. Um, 49ers, Chiefs. Uh,
You're gonna be like, what the heck?
I mean, look at all these. Oh, the Eagles stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, we were talking about all the weird coaches. I was just
Oh,
not.
I was about to just say that as the hint. I was like, we were just talking about what's weird in the drinking water there.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, the
yeah,
Eagles. But
yeah. 49ers, Eagles, Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs, and Bills are tied. Seahawks are right there behind them. But then the gap between the Seahawks and the Browns and Cowboys are right there. Right after the Cowboys is the Chargers and then the Steelers. And then the Lions and Jaguars are tied. So the
I look at the
determining
Jags.
factor.
The problem is, I look at maybe there's a little home cooking when we were doing some of the rankings, but I do look at the Jags and I like their roster better than the Lions. I think I do. Maybe I'm wrong.
Um, I don't think it's I think the disparities are small. The problem is the Jags O line was ranked at 26 and the Lions was at 1.
Yeah,
Now we could have moved that one spot down. I had the Lions at 2. Like that one spot, that 1 point could add up to that tiebreaker there.
true.
Um,
It's true. And I think right now in their careers, Lawrence and Goff are pretty close, honestly.
we had the Jaguars at 8 for quarterback and Goff at 10. So we do have
Yeah,
the
so
Jaguars
they're pretty
higher.
close. But
Running back is 13 to 15.
yeah, I would say that's pretty much the
Oh
same.
no, wait, no, I was looking at the Steelers, but we have the Jaguars running back at 14, and we have the Lions at 13, so they're right next to each other as well.
Yep. And
Wide receivers, we have the Jaguars at 9, and we have the Lions at 15. So we have Jaguars edge there.
yeah,
The tight ends, we have the Lions at 24. Jags are at 13, so they have the offensive edge there. It's the O line. It's the 25-point disparity in the O line.
yeah, and the tight ends I could see shrinking a little bit too, because it just depends on what's his name? I mean, what Laporta ends up being. Yeah, if he ends up being really good, which wouldn't surprise me, Iowa tight ends, then that could change. So
the other disparity, and this is what's my personal rankings. It's the DBs next week. I have the Jaguars at 28 for DB, and I have the Lions at 9. So that's that's the biggest disparity, and that's
Lions. That's the
Jaguars
biggest.
are winning in everything else by almost a good chunk.
Or it's really close, except for the O line and then the DBs.
Yeah, O line and DBs is where that really changes.
Yep.
So it's interesting though. To kind of look at, and obviously we'll get the official count at the end of next week. But yeah, and then hopefully next week Isaiah can join us and we can kind of go over the 20. I think he did the 2019 last week draft recap, and he'll probably do the 2018 after that. If it's a hit and miss. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week then, man.
Sweet. See you next
week. Last show on Zoom, folks. We'll see you.
Last show on Zoom. Get it while it's here.
What's up?